Relationships, the greatest ship of them all. But how do you even set sail and how do you keep them afloat? If you're dating or getting ready to date or perhaps helping your kids navigate the waters of dating, we would love for you to join us for this chat. Riki, where does it all begin?
The self. Relationship with yourself. That's the starting point.
That's the first ship.
That's the first ship, yeah.
It's like a little boat. It's your life raft.
It's, yeah, for sure. And the longest, most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself.
Yeah.
And the more you love yourself and the more you care for yourself and get to know yourself and explore what it means to be yourself, then the more you realise how fantastic it is to actually be yourself and to be single. And being single is a fantastic thing. And the only way you would give that up is if you found something or like a relationship with someone else that was even better, not just equal to, but even better than what it is to be on your own and be in relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
So it would have to be way better. The relationship with someone else would have to be way better than what you have on your own.
I'm glad you kicked it off with that because, we think about relationships and it's all like, who am I going to meet? What am I going to get out of this? What are we going to do together?
Yeah.
But being single is awesome.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Whenever you want.
Whenever you want, exactly. So, like you're saying, it had better be a good deal.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
giving something up,
Yes,
aren't you?
yes.
You're giving up a lot to get into a relationship.
Yes.
So
You're also hopefully gaining a lot.
that's the point.
However,
It's an exchange.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the first step, I guess, to understand that, look, you're good.
Yeah.
You're fine. Everything's fine as it is. You can be single.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with being single.
No.
But for those who do want to be in a relationship, who are inclined that way, and if you're not, that's fine. But if you are one of those people, and I was, well, still am. Just want to make that clear. We're okay. If you're inclined that way, then how do we do this in a healthy, fulfilling way? So we've already done a video on attraction, one on consent, and we thought the next evolution of the sex education series would be the relationship proper. So you've met someone, you're attracted to them, they like you, you've consented to something. Let's look at what that something is. What's this fair exchange that makes it all worth it? I mean, we've all seen couples where you're like, and they're getting nothing out of it except drama. It would be much better to be single in that case. So for the people who are ready, let's explore what a relationship looks like, what happens, what the pitfalls are, and essentially what we want to talk to our boys about. So one of our children is in his early teens. He's probably going to be ready to start dating soon. And we want him to be able to head into it with his eyes open and know what's coming.
I guess I have a question for you. Does he have to start dating as such? Is that a normal progression? Is it a hormonal thing or is it oh my God, in the right age, I have to start dating? Is it like start dating, like as if you have to have all these different dates, all these different people, or is it like a training thing? Or can you just get on with the business of your life and enjoy your life and follow your passions and your dreams? And if you happen to meet somebody that really grabs your attention and they're worth exploring, what is the dating process? Is it trying people out? Do we have to do that stage? Do we have to be doing dating? Or can we not say wait for the one, but is it experimenting or what is it? I'm just wondering, is that an essential part?
See, this is why we need to have pre-production meetings. Because you've caught me out here. I don't have an answer to that. Now we've got to do it in front of the people.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I guess I'm just using the term as meeting people.
Yeah. But are we always meeting people?
Yeah,
what is the shift?
Because
when does it become
there's this
dating?
awareness that this could go somewhere else. I guess that's what I'm trying to capture here. That he's at an age where before you meet someone and you're like, I could play marbles with them.
Yeah.
We could talk Pokemon.
Yeah.
Whereas when you get older, you meet someone and there are other thoughts in your head.
Yes.
I guess that's what I mean.
Yes. Okay.
By starting dating. So no, we don't have to go through some sort of process. There's no official line that people take. We all do things differently. And
those feelings might come up for multiple people where you used to just think of playing marbles or whatever, but would you then date all of the people that you get, I'm noticing different feelings that I've had in the past, if you know what I mean. It's sort of, how
depends
do
on
you...
your values.
how do you...
I'm a one-woman man. I just want to make that clear.
But it's a complicated thing.
Yeah.
And in terms of sharing what we know, if we've got some sort of wisdom as those that have gone before our kids, we want them to know that, oh, yes, these feelings are going to come up and dating is now it's on. Does any of that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And it's normal for a person to have feelings if they are that way inclined.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
when I was his age, so we're talking a 14-year-old, I was interested in women. I was attracted to women. Now, if he's gay, that's fine too. He could be attracted to men, whatever, it doesn't matter. But attracted to other people is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's totally up to him how he wants to pursue things. But I want him to be ready for when he does want to pursue something or he does get some sort of feelings to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's the same with fighting, right? We do a bit of martial arts at home and it's really overwhelming seeing straight punches come at your face with bad intent. To me, that's one of the most stressful situations a person can be in. And if you can learn to deal with that, you can learn to walk into other situations with your eyes wide open and full awareness. So it's the same sort of thing with dating. Things happen, you meet people, there's politics as well, politics between sexes if you're heterosexual, just all sorts of things. The fact that we live in a society that has conventions when it comes to dating, whether it's being monogamous, whether it's being heterosexual in some societies, whatever it is, there's a lot of things that complicate life.
Yeah.
And that's what I want our children to be as ready for as possible.
Yeah.
And there's so many pitfalls in relationships. I've seen people never recover from a bad relationship. I've seen people compromise completely and lose themselves in a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen good relationships fail for no reason. I've seen good relationships fail for good reasons. So the world is fraught with danger. Let's just try to educate our children a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It does. Yeah.
But from now on, we need to schedule these pre-production meetings. Considering we have zero time, we're just going to do it with you guys. Comment down below if you think that we're crazy. So, Riki, we talked about where it starts, which is with the self, the original boat, original ship, okay, the life raft. That's what's really, really important. You've got to make sure you've got enough supplies to get you to safety, right?
Yeah.
So, Riki, why relationships?
Because they're fantastic.
Okay, so being single is awesome. We've established that. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But relationships are fantastic
Yeah.
because that's a real word.
And it's really one of the best ways to truly know yourself, to have the privilege to know somebody else or to have the privilege to risk being known by somebody else.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I'm glad
And
you said
then
that.
for the other person, if they're risking being known as well, that's more exciting than climbing Mount Everest in so many ways, where if you're given the freedom to share each other's inner world, which is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
And to have that, magic of actually, little by little by little by little by little knowing something more about this other human being. And that can happen if you're 14. It might be something, a small thing, but for, I guess, someone who's older, that might continue for a lifetime. Who knows?
So being known, that's huge. Okay? Being vulnerable, to show your true colours. I mean, one of the first things you learn to do when you socialise is how to be guarded. We've got these protocols. You don't want to show too much about yourself straight up. But a relationship, it's all about showing that stuff.
Yeah.
What's the point? There's nothing special if you're not showing that, really. Otherwise, it's a business transaction.
Yeah.
So that is a massive thing. And the huge reward out of that is if you're showing your true self and you're getting nothing but love back, that's such a validating thing, isn't it? It's almost like saying, yes, you have a place here in the universe. And of course, that should come from our parents. Naturally, we should be able to be ourselves with our parents and we should get this unconditional love. But to get it from someone outside of the family, to get it from someone who sees everything, every part of you.
They're not obliged to love you or like you or, they could just walk away.
The connection, that's what we're talking about here. And humans are a social creature. We want to connect in every way, whether it's just a nice conversation with someone in the shops, when you're going through the checkout. That's a nice moment. I carry that with me and I have a nice experience with someone. But something with the depth of a loving relationship is huge. To me, that's the big appeal of a relationship, to connect, to truly know one another and to love each other.
What's and all.
Exactly.
So connection is what motivates us.
Yeah.
So how do we make that happen?
Assuming that we've already connected with ourselves and we know who we are to a decent enough level. Okay, self-knowledge is a lifelong journey, so no one is fully self-aware. So the first step would be choosing the right person. We're not there to fix people.
Or change people.
We're not there to see that there's a flaw with someone, but if I get them to this level, then I can use them in some way. I can get something out of them.
Or I can heal them.
Yeah, I can be the hero. That's not our job. We're not here to be anybody's hero. We're here to take care of ourselves. Work on yourself. Trust me, you've got enough issues. I know I do. We all do. None of us are perfect. So to me, the very vital first step is choosing well. It won't work if you don't choose well. In fact, it can be so dangerous. It can ruin your entire life choosing the wrong person. It's really important to understand your motivation, why you've chosen a particular person. Some people choose for political reasons. They might feel like there's a particular kind of symbol of power in their society in which they live. So they think, oh, well, that's the kind of person I need to be with. And I've read stories where people have ruined their lives. They've got PTSD because they chose the wrong partner. So first up, trust your gut. If there is a red flag, don't ignore it. You might not be able to do anything about it at first because there's that limerence phase where everything a person does is just amazing and you can't help but be attracted. It's like you've been shot by Cupid's arrow and everything this person does, oh my gosh, did you see the way he or she sneezed? Oh my goodness. There's nothing you can do. You're falling head over heels.
Yeah,
just be aware of that.
You can't beat the love potion. Like you can't defeat the love potion.
Exactly. So it's really hard sometimes to be able to step back and go, is this person good for me? But just know that if you don't get that right, if there's no solid foundation there, the rest will collapse and it can collapse in a blaze of glory.
And a couple of good questions to ask yourself at that stage, maybe once the love potion has worn off, is if this person was to never, ever change, would you still want to be with them? If this is it, if this is as good as it gets. And if you're thinking, oh my God, if they only change this or if I change that, if they give up their work or if they stop being a workaholic or if they stop smoking or whatever it is, if this is it, if they were never to change, would you still want to be with them? And another good question is if they ever got completely physically incapacitated, would you still want to be with them? What is it about them? Is it the fact that they're Iron Man or something? Yeah. Is it just purely physical or is it attraction of their soul and their mind that's the only thing that's going to last, hopefully, if you take care of your brain, I guess, until the end? And I'm not saying at 14 you need to make a decision to have a lifelong relationship, but at least ask if this person was not to change, do I still want to have a relationship with them?
Yeah, they're fantastic questions and they'll catch a lot of red flags. Definitely.
Yeah.
So looking at those questions from the perspective of a 14-year-old or a 140-year-old, doesn't matter how old you are when you start dating, what we can look at is how to actually choose well. So what would that be based on? To me, first up, values. Understand what these person's values are. It's really crap when you meet someone you're like, just a little bit racist. I don't know, is that too much racism? How much racism destroys a relationship? There's a little bit too much. So you don't want to be asking yourself that. You don't want to be second guessing going, oh, well, I just won't introduce him to this person or whatever. Make sure that the values align. And of course there can be differences. Riki and I, we've got loads of differences in the way we see the world. That's okay. And we'll probably talk about that actually.
But we have at the nucleus that we sort of revolve around, even though we have very different ideas about lots of things, the core of what is important to us is the same.
Pokemon.
Yeah, so as long as you've got this nucleus of core values, it doesn't matter if you've got some other little offshoots that, oh yeah, that's different, or that's, I don't feel the same about that, but it's not one of the foundational or fundamental values that are non-negotiable, that you don't share.
She's into East German dance music. I'm not. That's okay. But the most important thing is the way we treat people and the way people treat each other. So I love the way Riki treats me, but it's equally important the way you treat other people. That's vital to me. And that would break my heart if I saw you berate some service staff or something. I'd be like, that's not the person I wanted to be with.
Yeah.
It would kill me.
Yeah.
So you've got to find out your own values and what's important to you. I don't want to put it into your mind what you should be looking for, but just know what's really important. I guess people can call them the deal breakers. But those deal breakers needn't be superficial things. You know, you hear those little YouTube shorts. He's a 10, but he lives with his mum. Or she's a 10, but she poos her pants. Or something like that. Just know what's really, really important to you. And that'll be different at different ages. And know how those values will scale. So choose well. Choose carefully. Choose wisely.
And with a good mix of your heart and your head.
Yeah.
And, well, you mentioned it earlier, your gut. And our brains are connected to our guts. So, yeah, your gut feeling will guide you very well too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so you've met the right person. You've chosen well. There's fireworks. It is so much fun. And anyone watching this, go have your fun. Like, really enjoy yourself with the person that you're with. Or people you're with. We're not here to judge. Whatever you do is up to you. But that doesn't last. That lasts maybe 18 months at most. That's the limerence phase anyway, where everything's just amazing. But as you know from life, most of it's pretty stock standard. You think of a film, you know, there's a big car chase, big action sequence, and then there's a quiet bit after it. Things slow down a bit. You think about being a professional athlete. How often do they play? Let's just say they play once a week. If you're a rugby player, it's an 80-minute game. You might get subbed after 60 minutes. So you play an hour a week. That's it. That's all you do, 1 hour a week of playing. In that 1 hour, there's stoppages and all sorts of things. So let's just say it's a 45-minute spell that you get. You spend so much time training, recovering, doing all sorts of sponsor stuff. It's all the other stuff. And that's the same with a relationship. So the fireworks, like when you meet a woman or a man or whatever you're into and you think, I'd like to do this with that person, how long does that last? You want to take them to the movies or out to dinner? Doesn't last that long. But it's everyday things that fill up the rest of the time. I'm just going to use the term boring stuff. How do we navigate the boring stuff? And how do we make sure that that doesn't ruin a relationship and ruin our expectations of what a relationship should be?
And with the movies that we see where it's all romance and action, there are no boring times. There is no time, washing dishes or there's no, it's mostly just showing the highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
life's become a highlight reel.
Yeah.
It's an Insta reel and YouTube Shorts reel. It's a TikTok experience, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, one dopamine hit after another sort of thing. And that's not ordinary daily life. I really like the example of a base camp, a relationship as a base camp.
Yeah.
And I think that was John Gray's idea. Anyhow, the idea is that the relationship itself is the base camp.
Yep.
So each partner would go off and climb their mountains. It could be a giant mountain they have to climb that day or that week or that month or that year, or, they have their own mountains that they're climbing. Sometimes they climb a mountain together. Like later in life, perhaps they climb a mountain where they, buy a house together or they have children together or, big things that they do together. But most of the time, the partners are doing their own thing and they've got challenges in their life. Yeah, so the relationship would be a place for reflection and nourishment and rejuvenation and healing.
CB radios.
And it's not always going to be just all this lovely, day spa sort of stuff, but that's the place where that can happen. And it's not every single day where, you're rubbing each other's shoulders and taking care of each other in a very intense way, but it's a safe place. It's a place where you can both recover and have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're doing your own things, and the purpose of each of other person is not to, it's not your job to make me happy. It's not my job to make you happy. Your purpose is to fulfill your purpose, and my purpose is to fulfill mine. And they're very separate purposes, yet they interweave. We've chosen to have them cross over a lot.
It just also shows that if you choose the right person, all they want for you is for you to fulfill your purpose.
Yes, climb that next mountain. What do you need to climb that next mountain? Yeah,
and it shows what we're there for. It's to be there for each other.
Yeah.
To see each other as important. I think that's something that can really go amiss with a relationship or pursuing a relationship is that you think, what can you get out of that person?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what can I offer this person? And it's not a material thing, and I don't mean it in that way at all. I will provide you a house if you marry me, and I will give you this cow as a dowry. It's how do we connect?
Yeah.
In our connection, what can I offer you? For me, it's I will give you my whole self, all of my encouragement and love, and unconditionally. I love you so much. And I just want that to come through all the time in everything that I do with you. And I want you to feel that, to take you to the next stage once you've come back to base camp. And then you can leave. That's fine. You leave base camp and you go off, and I'll be there on my CB radio going, Riki, come in. Riki, oh my goodness, something's happened. But that's the idea, that we fully nourish someone. We pump their tyres and we just want them to go off on their journey, with or without us.
Yeah.
So look, I love the idea of this base camp. How do we make it work? How do we make sure that two people living in a small space in this metaphorical base camp will survive each other?
Well, communication would be the key.
Yeah.
And I would say it's the lifeblood of every single relationship is to have effective communication, and probably the best way would be to develop very good interpersonal communication skills and learn how to listen. And yeah, that would be a good starting point, I think.
It's a good end point too.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when you think about the things that you can do to attract a partner and be a good partner. Sometimes we think, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and get really jacked so I can attract a mate, or I'm going to make heaps of money so I can be really flashy and buy an expensive car so I can attract someone. We never think, I'm going to develop interpersonal skills. I'm going to do a mental health first aid course and an active listening course so I can talk to people better.
Yeah. Which course will I choose? Active listening or makeup artistry? You know, it's not many people would be choosing the active listening.
Exactly.
Maybe they would. Hopefully they would.
And that's what will keep things going.
Yeah.
Great listening. I mean, to connect is to be heard. And there's nothing worse than not feeling heard or understood. And that can actually ruin a relationship right there. It can completely collapse at that point. It can keep going, but inside someone's dead.
Yeah.
So my advice to our son would be, make sure you know how to listen to somebody.
And that would start with us listening to him and him seeing us listening to each other. So it's of course you can go and do a course and develop those skills. However, if you would like them to be natural for your child, then you would have to model those all the time. We can't always be actively listening, and there's a time where it's essential. But if it's something that's commonly used within your home, then I'd imagine it would be like osmosis. It would be. And I do hear him listening to his friends.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wow, that's really lovely. He's really reflecting what they're saying, and he's, you know,
totally.
So well, we've never taught him that. We've never talked about active listening as an actual skill.
Yeah.
But hopefully we've done it enough for him, and hopefully with each other, that it's been modelled and a natural communication style has formed where he's seeking to understand and seeking to learn about the other person naturally.
Yeah. Wow, modelling is so important. I'm glad you've moved on to that actually, because monkey see, monkey do. And it's funny, without deliberately talking about relationships, it essentially is just modelling. It's just osmosis. And you think about who deliberately talks about relationships, it's musicians, right? Every song is a love song pretty much. Exaggerating. But they're all dramatic. They're all either about the absolute highs or all the drama.
And even just in classical, without the lyrics, you've got all that drama as well, where you're moved to certain places just by the way the notes are all connected. So it's an emotional experience.
Exactly. Everybody gets married to Canon in D. But also, apart from music, it's in films. And again, they're always dramatic. And especially the comedies, they have to be silly. It doesn't have to be like that. And that's why it's important to have intentional conversations about this sort of stuff. So people can know that, you know what, that's not how it works. It can work in a very nice, sensible way. We're still with fireworks, still with excitement. Don't get me wrong. I'm not this boring guy or anything. Oh, well, I am, but that's a whole other story. Actually, there's no story. I'm just boring. But it's important for people to know that There are good, sustainable ways of having a relationship. It doesn't have to be a Taylor Swift song. Nothing against Taylor. We love Taylor Swift in this family. She's the man. When we came up with this topic, we were thinking from the perspective of parents of a 14-year-old boy. And that's very, very early on in the whole dating relationship scene. You have to grow and you have to adjust. You have to grow and adjust yourself. But if you're in a relationship, that relationship grows and you've got to adjust with it. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart. So that's why the values are really important, because if they're scalable, then you can adapt to being a fun young couple. We were fun once. Just want you to know that. Once. It was a long time ago. To once you have kids, everything changes. Once you have another kid, everything changes. Once you start a YouTube channel, it ruins the whole relationship. So you've got to adapt to all of these changes, right? Yeah. And that's a really important thing. So nothing's going to stay the same. Just know that. And as our bodies change, our looks change, our interests change, we will change. The dynamic will change. And we've got to grow with that. So just be aware of that. If you're a 14-year-old watching this, so our son, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, things will change.
I once heard some advice that I carried with me still to this day. And when people ask me about relationships, it always pops back in my head. So I thought I'd mention it. And he was saying that with attraction, use his words. It was saying when person A meets person B and person A looks at person B and says, well, you're not only equal to me, but you're better, like you're way better than me. Mm-hmm. And person B looks at person A and says, wow, you're not only equal to me, but God, you're a better human being than I am. And they're both inspired by each other to be better and to grow. And day by day, they sort of learn more about each other and go, wow, this growth sort of happens eventually. Maybe over a lifetime, they finally truly meet. That were his words. Those two people then can have children. And the purpose of those children would be to grow up and watch this love, that they're witnessing this love. And that love, of course, to love the children as well. But he was saying it was far more important for the child to witness this love.
Yes.
And they're seeing this love and learning how to love by witnessing two people loving each other and admiring each other and respecting each other and valuing each other. And then that child would grow up not only to be equal to those two parents, but better than those parents.
Yeah.
And he was describing that was his version of evolution, where it was through the love of the parents sharing this love and then the child becoming amazing.
Yeah. That's a beautiful way of looking at it. And that really sets you up, if you are in the choosing stage, to know how amazing it can be if you choose well.
Yeah.
Never settle. Definitely never settle, because if you do, you won't experience that amazing level of love and evolution.
Yeah.
So look, we're not relationship experts at all. We're just spitballing ideas because we've got two boys, one of whom happens to be a teenager. We want to get ready for this stuff. So what do you know about relationships? Please comment down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Quite simply, the more conscious we are of these things, the better we can approach them. So let's hope that we can pass some of this stuff on to our kids. Let's hope that we're modeling a great relationship. Let's hope that we've got a great relationship with ourselves and that we're working on our own growth. Let's hope that we're aware of the relationships we have with everybody around us and that we're treating everybody with kindness and love and compassion and empathy. Because that will elevate everybody. Imagine modeling that behavior for everybody. If you're a leader of some sort, if you're a business owner or if you're a politician, imagine treating everybody with kindness and empathy and everybody seeing what happens from there.
Like a rising tide lifts all boats.
Back to the ship. I love it. You've done the whole
circle.
metaphor thing. Yes. We hope you enjoyed that talk. Please like and subscribe if you did, and join us for the next one.
Thank you so much. Bye.